Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com, and welcome to today's recap. We definitely had an interesting day. Yesterday at this time, tech went out on the lows, and guys were like, I want to be short Netflix, I want to be short Amazon, I want to be short Apple. They closed through the October lows and they let us low. I'm like, that's a good trade. I'm like, my friends from Schoenfeld, they're all short them. I'm like, I probably should be shorted, but I know if we gap up, I'll be a little upset. So you know what? Let it happen. If we gap down, there'll be a lot of opportunities if you map out, levels the correct way. So this morning when we were down 30 handles, I tweeted to you guys. I'm like, I bought a little Apple here. I think Apple, my first buy was like, my average was like 178 and change, and then I had buys all the way down to 175.50. I started buying Facebook at like 128 and had bids all the way down to 125. I started buying NVIDIA down near 136 all the way down to 130. So PS, you had to have those bids in there, which is dangerous. But I figured, hey, I didn't lose money yesterday and I wasn't long overnight. So you know what, I can try it. So PS, you didn't even have to. You could have waited for the reactionary low. I tweeted, I'm like, there's your 5-minute reactionary low. And then from there, Facebook went green, NVIDIA went green, Google went green, Amazon went green, Netflix went green, and Apple tried, but it was heavy. And it felt heavy. I tried it a few times thereafter, and it just felt heavy, which kind of muted the real reversal that could have happened. But anyway, you go to the chart, and here we are. What's going to happen tomorrow? Hard to tell. All we know is that, here's your SPX. It feels like it wants to get here and test this. Although we do have a doji today. We've had dojis on the upside that have given you, like this was a doji here that broke below. It could mean the selling is subsiding a bit or not. We'll see what happens. I'm not long the spiders. I feel like I should be a little bit. 26.31 is the low. So maybe we'll see what happens tomorrow if it breaks below. I'm kind of thinking it wants to do this, but maybe tomorrow with Wednesday of Thanksgiving it opens up or the world markets don't follow, and I'm not saying it's gonna be a blockbuster trade, but you get a gap fill to here, which is 26.81. So that's about 30 handles, but that's a nice trade. We'll see. Qs, I actually have a green bar, but still it's below the lows, so you can't really be like, oh, look at the Qs. It held 157, but it did come off the lows a little bit. It was a decent trade from the VTF. When I saw everything coming up, I bought the Qs. I made some money there. All in all, it's still kind of below this spot, where it kind of tailed into here, but couldn't get above it. So now we'll see what happens here. Do we get another bearish flag or some kind of bounce back? The moving average that it keeps touching and finding resistance is up here. So that's how far below the Bollinger Band we are. So we'll see. Again, look at the trend. That's when it broke, up there. Now you get to play around here. Small caps, how did that close? I didn't really play the small caps. Whole lot of nothing. Tomorrow we'll see. Does it come in and test this area? I'm not sure. Doesn't look like anything you should be, having FOMO with. If anything, it's been really weak. This also, below all the moving averages. Gave you one trade here that got rejected. You saw the S&P double top. It did not even get as high as that, so it showed relative weakness again, just like it showed relative weakness up here. Now we'll see what happens here tomorrow. This isn't telling you to be long. USO also, closing near them. Oh wow, USO closed through that area. I was so busy with so many things I didn't really realize it. On this day we bought some USOs. On this day I sold some 12s. This morning I bought back some 12s for like 5 cents that I sold for 40 cents, and then I sold the 1150s for like 20 cents. So all in all, I think I bought the 11s for 80 cents, and I might break even and still lower. So I timed it pretty well besides trading it once. We'll see what happens here tomorrow. Again, another level. If things bounce and they can't hold them, you got to get out of the way. It tried it here. Now who knows? It can go this far down, which I believe is like 46 in oil. We'll see. Here is your breakout failure and whatever. So anyway, so my real focus this morning, which we talked about, was Facebook and NVIDIA. I bought them pre-market, which I don't like doing, but I felt like, it's getting a little overdone. I could definitely trade out of it, and and NVIDIA wound up being the best one out there just for the day. Why was I targeting it? Well, I feel like this was a pretty big level over here, which it went a little bit below. Where'd it go to though? Yeah, 133. There's a bunch more levels it could have went to, but it didn't. Anyway, what could you have seen? You know, I guess you go to your 5-minute chart, and you know, you had a quick reactionary low. Even if you didn't want to, you know, if you missed the first part of the move, which was this right here, it held higher. You could have been a buyer below 140, made some money. Another little bull flag. I think this is when Citron came out and said they're a buyer, and I sold mine into there. This was a nice trade. You didn't even have to really do this. This was risky from what I did. You could have waited for it to fill the gap-ish, almost fill it, come in, hold, and then you had another move. It all depends on your risk. Now you could be along a little bit overnight or not. If we open up tomorrow, it'll be up a little bit. We open down, probably something that could be buyable, you know, because of, you know, day up. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Facebook also wasn't as powerful, but it too gave you a quick move up, quicker than anything else. Came in. You didn't have to, okay, be anticipating this, but this was the only thing that filled the gap, okay, and then it came in, held higher, and gave you, you know, a pretty big secondary move, which I held the entire time pretty much, with, you know, and that made my day. But if you look here on these 3 bars, okay, that was a lot stronger. Like, so by here, by 9:40, this gap was filled for the spiders. By 9:40, this is what you had. He only had a 3-candle thing in this whole gap here, so that gave you relative strength. Then, when the SPYs made new lows at 10:15, let's look where Facebook was. 10:15 is probably right here. Look at that, higher low, relative strength. That's the signal I talked to you guys about. Same thing with NVIDIA. Spiders made a low at 10:15. Look at that, it actually went up during that. This was 10:15, so it was already making a higher low while the spiders were down here. That's the signal I was talking to you about. So if you're looking for signals, relative strength, and beating down names for cash flow in the first 15, 30, 60, 90 minutes, that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, those two are good, but look at the difference in Apple. Apple tried to rally a little bit. Here's your 3 bars into a topping tail. Gave you had to be perfect. Came all the way down. Didn't make a new low like the spider, so it gave you actually a little bit of hope. I made some money there. Then I actually made a higher low, and then it felt as if it was going to go, and then broke the trend right here. I actually was a buyer there, and I lost money. I probably broke even on Apple because I made fast money here when it was like a buy in the hole. Made a little bit more money here. Then I thought, hey, this is going to be it. I can get at least a few points out of this, and it failed. And now we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe, you know, tomorrow it's a better trade. But at this point, you have a doji here, lots of, you know, gaps. We'll see what happens here tomorrow. Maybe there's a trade into this little area. I'd love to see it happen because I'm not long Apple overnight, so I feel like tomorrow there'll be a better trade into this area. I would do the same thing tomorrow. Since I'm not stuck in it, if we get a big gap down, I'll buy some into this area, and then maybe tomorrow we get a better bounce, and maybe tomorrow the S&P cash will be testing 2603. I didn't want to really deal with Netflix and Amazon just because I felt like NVIDIA, Facebook, Apple, and the Qs would be enough for me to deal with. Amazon did, you know, give you a decent trade. We talked about this pivot. So once it reclaimed this pivot of 1476, it did get as high as 1534. So it's a nice 20, 30, 40 points, however you want to do it. And now we have this low. Netflix, remember the gap we were talking about? Well, it kind of went, you know, didn't actually get there. No, I'm sorry. Here was the gap. Went pretty darn close though. So anyway, did go green. You know, it's still trending down. You know, one green day doesn't mean it's over, but at least we have a new point of reference here to trade against. It was a good trade for today, as it was, you know, oversold. Right here, remember this gap up that failed? That was the telling of all of earnings season that good earnings were sold, especially in high beta tech. Just to reiterate, we always look for signals. And then today, let's see what happened here. You had, I think these lagged a little bit. Here you had your first 3 bars like everything else, and then it held in there, made a nice little bull flag down here, and then went again. So you could have been a buyer versus here and not anticipated this and made yourself, you know, $10 or so, and then it had a push. Unfortunately, Apple, if Apple would have done this, I would have made a heck of a lot more money today. Instead, you know, Netflix did it. Let's see how Amazon did it. You know, 3 bars up, came in, held higher. So on this bar again, this is 1015. Look what the spiders were doing at 1015. At 1015, the spiders were at the lows, below this low. So the spiders are making new lows while tech wasn't. That was something different to play for a bounce. So anyway, listen guys, it hasn't been the easiest environment. There's definitely been so many things to do. You know, if everyone's saying they're killing it, I don't know if they're really killing it. They must be really good, because I think I'm pretty consistent and good and planned and prepared, and I lost money in October. And I was even in tactical mode, not caught in 8 to 15 positions, holding my breath and going underwater. It just didn't trade. That was great. Like yesterday was the first time you actually could have been really short. Tech showed its face and made money overnight as they opened a lot lower. And then you could have even flipped. Or you could have said, hey, I'm going to get out of the way. I'm hoping for a down open. We actually got a down open, and there was a lot of good money to be made in the first hour or two. Unfortunately, it didn't continue at the end of the day, but let's hopefully we have a do-over tomorrow. Wouldn't it be great if we opened down 20 handles again tomorrow, see a little divergence, you know, S&P tests 2603, tech doesn't go down anymore, all of a sudden now the S&P rallies, you know, technology tries to rally, they both go green, boom, 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 into Thanksgiving Eve. I go to my party at Par 440 with the red light band. You guys do whatever makes you happy. And then all of a sudden we're doing turkey trots Thursday morning, getting ready with the turkey recipe that you guys have, and that's that. If we open up tomorrow, okay, then it's a little harder and trickier and choppier, and you have to be more patient. So at this point, again, you know, if you've been in a hole, you know, you can't go all in for, you know, make it back in a day. You got to chip away at it. You have a few positive days, all of a sudden you're feeling happy, and then you have a few bigger positive days. That's how you come out of a rut. Okay, it's not the end of the world. It happens to everybody. You know, you just got to get green, got to get feeling good, so then you trust yourself and you execute, and then once you're executing, you're making money, you'll start putting some more things on, you'll be a little bit looser, and then all of a sudden you'll turn around and your account's back up, and then you're making money, and it's behind you, and you just, you know, got a little you know, grit underneath your nails, which every trader needs, and that's how you build your experience and your inner voice. Been doing this for 20 years, and even me, when I was at the bottom of my month in October, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a pain in the butt. But you know, here I am. I'm down small, and you know what? We haven't really rallied much. I adjusted, and now we'll see how we could, you know, make some money and stay safe and continue to look for just compelling areas and be long and short, and you know, let things pan out and not get stuck, and you know, just keep the mind and spirit free, so this way you can think clearly and execute. I am not going to have a morning call or video tomorrow. I will be in the Shortell's office trading most of the day. I wish everyone a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Have an unbelievable time with your family and friends. This type of scenario doesn't happen often, so make sure you enjoy it. You know, whether you're with your family, your parents. You know, I'm 45. You know, my dad's 73. My mom's 72. You know, hoping they can come to my house for another 10 years. We shall see, or more. But again, you gotta, you know, just have fun when you can and enjoy the times and be in the moment, because sometimes the moments change and they're not for the better. Anyway, hope you had a decent day today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. I posted the turkey recipe if you want one. If not, don't use it. If you have a great recipe and you want to tweet it to me, a side dish, I'd love to see it as well. Have a good night, and we'll see what happens in the morning. Bye-bye.